So if you're a normal middle-class white person in the West and you look around and you see immigrants who are coming into your country who are not too interested in acculturating and who are going to compete against you and your children for jobs and social welfare and all this other good stuff, who should you blame? Should you blame the immigrants who are probably only doing what you would do if you were them? Or should you blame the people who are enabling those immigrants to do what they're doing? I would suggest the latter. Now, there's two groups of people who are doing the enabling. The first group are the politicians. They actually have to write the laws, the rules, the regulations, appropriate the money, and all this to create this immigration in the first place. But we know that politicians don't do things unless people ask them to do things. Now, you can look around in your community if you're in the West and you can say, who in my community is advocating for large-scale immigration from the Middle East, from Africa, from Asia, from places that don't speak your language, from places that don't have your religion, from places that might even have a history of authoritarianism? Look in your community and ask, who's advocating for that? And the answer is going to be nobody. Okay, so now we've got one group to blame, which are the politicians for doing this shit in the first place, and then we've got a question of who's advocating for it. Well, conveniently, I've got a nice article from the New York Times here called Opinion: White Nationalism is the Real Threat to the West, Not Islam. This is a guy named Sasha Polako-Saransky, who is from a family of people who want to advocate for Africans and other poor people in the world rather than for white Westerners. And he's from a family of anti-apartheid activists. Now, they wanted to do anti-apartheid activism in South Africa, but when the heat got turned up too high, they fled to America. And what do you know? Now that their children are grown up, they're writing for the New York Times, trying to explain to white people in America why white people in America are the problem and why we shouldn't worry about mass immigration from countries that don't share our religions, our language, our cultural values, or our political values. So I would suggest to you that if you want to know who's really responsible for all of these immigration and terrorism problems that we're having, it's people like Sasha Polako-Saransky and his family, who are diversity entrepreneurs, cultural Marxists, hiding behind a language of compassion and income inequality and all this other kind of stuff, and they really just want to see the West be non-white because they think that white people are the root of all evil in the world. If you don't believe me, go read the article, go look at the history of these people who are writing this kind of stuff, and remember, go look at your community and see if there's anyone advocating for mass immigration. There's not. They're all at the New York Times. They're all in Hollywood. They're all in New York City. Thank you for your time.